phase one, hoping today just where do things stand for you? How are you feeling heading into this part of the schedule?
Yeah, it's been 93 days since our last ball game, so we're ready to get started. It's good to see everybody. There's a different energy when your players get back, and we're excited to start doing football.
What's your take on players being part of this, not being a part of it? I'm sure as a coach you'd like all to be here, but just what's kind of the message that you give players in terms of them being here and not being here?
Yeah, well, it's optional. That's the way the collective bargaining agreement is right now. So we're really appreciative of the guys who are here, and I think your players set the culture of your team, and we want to create the competition in the springtime to improve as a football team, and we're excited about the guys who are here, and we're looking forward to the next couple months.
Brian, what does Eric Kendricks bring to your defense?
A lot of experience, a lot of playmaking ability. He's been at the heart of one of the top defenses in the NFL his entire career. He's a very complete player, and he's also one of the best leaders that you're going to be around. So excited about joining up with him, and we're going to have a lot of work ahead of us.
What are your thoughts on the turnout? We saw I think the bigger guys are out there. We were out there. We didn't see the skill guys. What's your thoughts just on the guys? How many guys are here?
Yeah, I'm just proud of our players, proud of the culture that we have on our football team and the leadership of our football team. And today's day one of it, but we have a team that I'm really excited to coach.
We saw Tito out there on the field. Obviously, we asked a bunch about sort of how he's doing with the knee, but encouraging that he's out there.
Yes.
Part of his rehab process.
Yes, definitely. He's working hard.
Coach, what does it look like in terms of starting to put together your plan for the season? I know you don't have all the details down now, but you've done this a few times now here with the Chargers. So what do you alter? What's different than maybe what you've done in years past?
Well, I think you start brand new each and every season. I don't think that you ever take anything for granted. I think you truly have to build a team each and every year. I think where that starting point is can be a little bit different depending on how many people you bring back, but there's just so much transition in the NFL, and whether it's with players or coaches or staff, you have to reset your team every single year and build it. So today's the first day kind of that process, and I think you have a lot better understanding of the calendar, of the rhythm that you're trying to create, the teaching progression of everything, and truly how to build a football team, and how long of a season it really is, starting from the spring season all the way to your final game. So you have a much better understanding of how to do that the more you do this. And again, as a coach, this is a really special time, that teaching time of the springtime, and being able to build your football team. And certainly the draft's coming up next week, and you get a bunch of new guys there too. But this is a really great time for coaches.
Brandon, J.C. Jackson's been posting videos of him kind of getting back, rehabbing, doing his thing. Just do you have an update on him and how he's progressing so far?
Same as before. Just he's working really hard. It's been great that he's been doing his rehab here, and just excited to see his progress here now that we're all back together and try to take advantage of these next 2 months before we hit break.
Has anything changed about where things stand with Austin Eckler?
No updates on Austin. Same comments as before.
And how's Justin doing with his shoulder?
Progressing well.
Is he here?
He is.
Any clarity on whether he's going to participate in OTAs or still sort of up in the air?
Yeah, up in the air. It's just we're going to listen to the doctors, and I know he's making progress. And again, we'll have those updates as we get more as we get closer to practice time.
And then any update on contract negotiations with Justin? Obviously, we all saw that Jalen signed a pretty big deal earlier today.
Right.
Any
No updates. We're going to keep those negotiations private, and looking forward to again just getting started with phase one.
We saw DeAndre sign with the Raiders sort of after we saw you at the owners' meetings.
Yeah.
Just your thoughts on him leaving, and sort of what's the plan now at returner, and also the depth of wide receiver with him.
Yeah, really appreciative of Jay. He was fantastic for us, and excited that he's got an opportunity with Vegas. Really grateful for all his contributions, and again, like I've said on some other guys too, that's the tough side of things, but really grateful for our relationship, and wishing him nothing but success. And we're going to have to look into that returner space here in the next months, whether it's the springtime or in the summer, and that'll be a position that we need to evaluate.
Brian, going into your third season, what have you kind of taken away from your first 2 seasons, and are you approaching this offseason any differently, or are you kind of taking a mix and match of your first 2 and applying it to this year as well?
No, I think you're trying to build a football team, and I think you get better at it as you go. I think we've got tremendous players, tremendous coaches, personnel department, ownership, and I think you're able to see this thing take shape the longer that you do it. And I'm excited to attack this offseason and improve my game, improve our football team, and build ourselves ready for training camp.
There is no real opportunities for breaks for a head coach of an NFL team, right? I'm assuming you're always paying attention to what you're going to do next and what you have on tap this season. But maybe what were those few moments between in the last 93 days that you stepped away? What did you do to recharge your own batteries?
Yeah, I mean, spent a lot of time with my family. I think that's number one. That's the most important thing to me, is making sure that I pour into my 3 sons and my wife and my brothers, and make sure that we make a lot of memories. And there's a lot to catch up on, and being involved in their school and their games, and that's where my focus has been. And then just looking inward about where I can improve with my own game, and making sure that I was ready for these players today. Because we want to make sure that every time we get a chance to be in front of them, you don't get a chance to be in front of them as much anymore. So when you do get that chance to be in front of them, that you're ready for them, and that you've shown them what you've done to invest in your game, and that we've been watching their game. Most importantly, is like, hey, we've got a plan for you, and in this springtime, we've got a game plan that you can really work on to help yourself get ready for training camp.
Just looking ahead to the draft, just where you guys are at 21, you might sort of end up outside of where you guys have first round grades on. I think Tom mentioned it's usually 16 and 19 players, something like that. With that in mind, what are your overall thoughts on the idea of trading back in the first round, picking up another pick, the overall philosophy for you on that premise?
Well, I think it depends on how the draft board takes shape. I think that's a big determining factor. Those 16 to 18 players that you have, Dean, maybe if that's what it is, how that draft board expresses itself, and then just what you feel like your odds are of being able to move back and what that gains you. And so I think those things are sort of ongoing on draft day, and you won't know until draft day, but you're always trying to increase your probability. And sometimes that's staying put, sometimes that's going up or going back. I think it's case by case, but there'll be a good player for us to choose, and I think that's what we're committed to, is just choosing a player that we all believe in, and that we know that there's a role for him, and that there's a vision for his path within his time as a Charger. So exciting time for us, and looking forward to next week.
What's it been like to kind of get to sit down and study with Kellen Moore and him bringing a different perspective in? And I know you guys went to a coaching clinic in Oregon, but what's it been like to kind of been around him the last few months?
Yeah, great to team up with him. I have so much respect from afar, and I think getting to work with him on a day-to-day basis, you're just able to improve a lot as a coach. And I think we're able to make each other's game better. I know how much he's going to help our football team, not just our offense. And it's been great to see how he sees the football game, what his plan of attack is, the vision kind of he has for playing offensive football, and all the experiences that he's had both as a player and as a coach. Really respect those experiences, and I think we can really leverage all of them to form a new way here with the Chargers, a way that we really believe in. And I think that's the thing about being with him, is that he fits the way that we want to play as a football team. And it's not just about offensive football, but he's got a great feel to how to fit in to the team aspect of playing, and knowing how to utilize the team in front of him and how that fits into the greater scope of things. And I've really appreciated that. He's a winner, and I think that's something that was very attractive to me. As you go back to his days as a high school player, playing for his father, to Boise, to his time in the NFL as a player and as a coach. They've been very, very good wherever he's gone. And so I'm excited for him to bring, all of those experiences to the Chargers, and for us to team up. And he's been fantastic for our staff, and now excited for our players to get to be in front of him every day.
You mentioned the leadership abilities that Eric brings. Is there sort of an innate nature to that inside middle linebacker spot where you kind of have to be a good leader to really be an effective player at that position?
Well, I think the intangible part of that position is that you're truly connecting both places. You're connecting the front of your defense to the back of your defense. And so you're in the middle of everything. And I think in the NFL, anytime you play a position that's in the middle, so inside linebacker, safety, quarterback, center, anytime you're in the middle, you have to be a connector. That's part of your value to the football team that goes far beyond height, weight, speed. And so as good of a player as he is, the fact that he has that type of leadership capacity multiplies his impact on the team. And I think what he did in Minnesota, I got to witness firsthand because I was in the division when I was in Chicago, played him when I went to Denver, played him as a head coach here. Some of my best friends have been a part of coaching him and watching him from afar, just the level of respect that I've had for him, not just as a player, but as a leader. Walter Payton, Man of the Year. You're talking about the highest caliber, that you can join up with. And that you get some of these special players that have all that, a Khalil Mack, a Derwin James, these guys that are fantastic premium players that also have the fantastic premium leadership stuff. And we felt like he would bring a lot to our culture. And again, excited to get to work with him.
How much, with the draft, how much do you, as a head coach, pour yourself into that? You've got, obviously, your players here now you're dealing with, but is that something that you spend a great deal of time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, pour yourself into the draft. Pour yourself into the players. There's no bigger investment that you make as a club than who you bring into your football team. And you have to have as much knowledge of that player as possible. And you have to have as many viewpoints as possible. And so I love the draft. Since I was a little kid, I've told you the story. I grew up watching the draft. The Staley family was watching every pick in the draft from as long as I can remember. And, and now you get a chance to be a part of that selection process. You want to dive into that process, full steam. And so we take a lot of pride in the level of detail that we have in this process, joining up with our scouting department, who is fantastic, led by, Tom, JoJo, Kevin Kelly, his scouts, just that teamwork, that aspect of bringing people together and studying these guys, getting to meet these players. And it's a tremendous process. And again, next week's going to be exciting for the Chargers.
Ryan, why was it important for you guys to bring back Morgan Fox?
Well, Foxy, I think he's back there in a bucket hat right now. He's going to be up here next talking. I better get done quickly. But Foxy, number one, he represents our culture. He represents everything that we want in a football player. But then in terms of what he can do is he's got versatility in the front to play a lot of different places. And then he brings something that's hard to find in the NFL, which is interior pass rush. He's got real sack production. And when you have an interior pass rusher that can rush like he can, it gives you an advantage. He knows how to rush as part of a team, which is important when you have two quality outside rushers like we have. He understands how to fit within a rush plan. But he's a guy that makes plays for us and, again, represents who we want to be from a culture standpoint.